Welcome to Sci-Fi Sounds, where imagination meets sound. Explore audio short stories that take you to distant galaxies, alternate realities, and beyond. From thrilling sci-fi adventures to futuristic mysteries, we bring worlds to life through sound and storytelling. Tune in, close your eyes, and let your mind wander. Your journey into the unknown begins here with Sci-Fi Sounds. Disclaimer: some stories may contain violence or intense themes. Listener discretion is advised. The crew lands on Scrap Moon Gamma's crusty surface, bickering all the way. They prepare to meet the Bonepile clan to sell off the collars, but discover the locals don't trust outsiders. The Rustbucket touched down on Scrap Moon Gamma with a whine, a groan, and what might have been a belch. Inside the cramped bridge, Captain Jax Vargo was kicking the control panel. That noise normal, he asked, not turning around. Grilla Wren didn't even look up from her nest of wires and coffee mugs. Define normal. Normal as in won't explode? Then no. The ship gave one final clunk. Then silence. Jax raised an eyebrow. That's either good or apocalyptic. From behind them, a loud clang echoed down the corridor. Zed Draco's massive frame appeared in the doorway, holding something squirming and vaguely rodent-shaped upside down by the tail. Nubbins got into the coolant tank again. Nubbins hissed, eyes glowing faintly purple. Right, Jax muttered. Let's make this quick. We fence the collars, don't get involved in any clan drama, and get out before someone throws a wrench at me. Grilla tossed him a wrench. Too late. Kiki Flux strutted onto the bridge with sunglasses, even though there was no sun. I've dressed for negotiations. Am I not radiant? You're radiant, Jax muttered. Like a solar flare aimed at my patience. The ship's ramp hissed open, revealing the glorious wasteland of Scrap Moon Gamma. Rusted droid limbs jutted from the ground like failed crop experiments. The sky was a soupy orange, and the smell was like burned oil and disappointment. At the bottom of the ramp, a group of grimy, armor-clad scavengers waited beside a half-crushed hover truck. Their leader, an old man with a metal jaw and a chest plate made of dishwasher parts, raised a three-fingered salute. Welcome, outsiders, he rasped. You stand in the realm of the Bonepile clan. Jack stepped forward, flashed a smile, and almost tripped on a loose bolt. Captain Vargo, pleasure. We're here on a friendly little business exchange. The old man narrowed his eyes. You brought the goods? Jax gestured to a crate behind Zed, who dropped it with a metallic thunk. Inside, dozens of glossy stolen robotic dog collars, each one still blinked with corporate barcodes. Top quality Machineris inventory, Jax said, dusting his hands. Totally untraceable, probably. The Bonepile leader squinted. You are not Bonepile, nor Junkblood, nor even Scorchkin. Why should we trust you? Jax's smile didn't waver. Because we're charming, desperate, and armed. The leader blinked. From behind them, a second hover truck rumbled into view, its engine sputtering blue smoke. It bore the sigil of a rival clan, angular and jagged like broken glass. The truck skidded to a stop, and a group of much less friendly-looking scabbers climbed out. Grilla muttered, well, that's probably not great. Jax sighed. I said no clan drama. Zed looked down at Nubbins, who was chewing on a live power cell. Too late. The moment the rival clan's hover truck hissed to a halt, the air on Scrap Moon Gamma thickened, less with tension, more with the stench of oil, ozone, and testosterone. 5 scrappers in mismatched armor hopped out, weapons slung loose but eyes sharp. Their leader wore a bandolier made entirely of toaster handles and a pauldron that may once have been a ceiling fan. He stomped forward and grunted. Bonepile, he barked. Still dealing with outsiders, eh? Thought you lot had standards. The Bonepile elder tightened his grip on his rusted spear. Stay in your lane, Scorchkin. Jax stepped between them and grinning like he just walked into a bar tab he wasn't paying. Gentlemen, let's dial this down from murderous to passive-aggressive, shall we? Scorchkin leader frowned. Who the scrag are you? Jax straightened, puffed up his chest, and blurted the first thing that came to mind. I am Captain Jax Vargo, duly appointed ambassador from the unaligned merchant collective of Sector 9B. Grilla blinked. That's not a thing. Sure it is, Jax whispered back. Just got founded 5 seconds ago. The Bonepile elder gave a slow, suspicious nod. Ambassador, you say? So, you're bound by trade honor? Jax gave an exaggerated bow. Oh, absolutely. All kinds of honor. Honor out the exhaust pipe. Meanwhile, Kiki was already 10 paces away, leaning coquettishly against the Scorchkin hover truck, talking to one of the younger scrappers. He had artfully asymmetrical shoulder pads and a look that suggested he'd never successfully read a map. You must be devastating in combat, she purred, twirling a lock of synthetic hair around one finger. Yeah, real devastating. I ripped out 3 mech spines last week. Ooh, do tell. The Scorchkin leader spotted this and narrowed his eyes. Oi, Trek! Stop tongue dancing with the shiny lady. Kiki laughed musically. Tongue dancing? That's a new one. Jax turned to her, panic flickering behind his smile. Kiki, maybe tone down the diplomacy. She waved him off. I'm gathering intel. She's gathering flirt, Grilla muttered. Suddenly, Trek looked past Kiki and frowned. Hey, is that your gremlin thing chewing on our truck tire? Everyone turned to see Nubbins gnawing on a rubber tread like it owed him money. Sparks popped. The tire exploded. The hover truck tilted, groaned, and then thunked sideways with a pathetic whoomp. Weapons were immediately raised on both sides. Jax held up his hands. Nobody panic. Nobody shoot. We can... The Bonepile Elder's voice was like steel grinding on gravel. Your gremlin has insulted our enemies. This is acceptable, the Scorchkin leader roared. You bring chaos to my land, fake ambassador, Zed whispered to Jax. Should I start shooting now or wait until after you say something stupid? Let's not start with shooting. Grilla unslung a small EMP grenade and thumbed the safety off. Kiki batted her lashes at Trek. Maybe we could go somewhere quiet and discuss tire reparations? The entire scrapyard tensed, like a junkyard orchestra tuning up for war. Nubbins struck first. With the silent, terrifying confidence of a gremlin on a sugar high, he zipped through the momentary standoff, leapt into the wreckage of the toppled Scorchkin hover truck, and emerged with a chrome sphere clutched in his tiny claws. It pulsed with blue light and hissed faintly. Grilla squinted. That's a heat core regulator. That bad? Jax asked. It's basically a portable meltdown. Nubbins squealed with joy and sprinted. After him! The Scorchkin leader bellowed, but too late. Nubbins vaulted over a stack of discarded dishwashers and vanished into the wreck maze. Bonepile and Scorchkin fighters surged forward at once, both clans yelling, cursing, and tripping over random engine parts. One Bonepile warrior took a blender to the face. A Scorchkin tripped on his own belt of rusty forks. Zed stepped in front of Jax. I vote shoot. Shoot second, Jax muttered. Maybe third. We still have collars to sell. A spear made from what looked like a mop handle and lawnmower blades whizzed past them. Okay, Jax corrected. Shooting just moved up. Kiki ducked behind a heap of fridge doors, then emerged wearing one like a cape. If we're all dying here, I want to die fabulously. No one's dying, Jax shouted over the fray. Except maybe that guy. He pointed as one scrapper got launched 20 feet by a pneumatic leg. Grilla dashed past him, already snapping on her tool gauntlet. I'm going after the gremlin. Keep the clans busy. That is literally the opposite of a plan, Jax called after her. She flipped him off without looking back. Suddenly, alarms blared. Massive klaxons, old Machineris models by the sound of them, buried deep in the junk. Red warning lights lit up all over the scrapyard, on towers, on droids, even on an overturned vending machine that screamed, evacuate, evacuate, in 6 languages. Jax ducked as a flare shot into the air. Zed looked at him sideways. Did we trigger something? We? Jax shouted. You mean your gremlin? I vote we shoot him. From high atop a collapsed satellite dish tower, Nubbins let out a triumphant squawk and held the heat core regulator aloft like a war trophy. Then he swallowed it. All eyes turned to him in horror. Zed blinked. Okay, now we run. For exactly 3 seconds, there was silence. Then Nubbins hiccuped and started glowing. A low, ominous hum vibrated through the rust beneath their boots. He ate a meltdown core, someone screamed. Grilla shouted from halfway up the wreck tower, I can get it out of him! Jack stared. What, with forceps? No, with mech. She vanished behind a crumpled cargo crate, and a second later the ancient remains of a war-battered loader suit rattled to life. Rusted joints groaned. One arm sparked violently. The other rotated backward and punched itself. Come on, baby, Grilla muttered. You've got 2 moves left in you, and one of them better be Rampage. Below, the clans were too busy arguing about who technically owned Nubbins now to notice her power-up. Zed, seeing the chaos building, stepped forward with calm purpose. He raised his arms, took a breath, then began what could only be described as interpretive dance, slow, deliberate, and deeply confusing. The Scorchkin stopped mid-argument. Is that a mating ritual? The Bonepile elder furrowed his brow. No, that's a threat display, I think. Kiki gasped dramatically. It's neither. It's performance art. Is he okay? Asked one of the younger Scorchkins. Never been better, Zed whispered, twirling on one heel. At that moment, Grila's mech suit roared out from behind the satellite tower, barreled through a wall of garbage, and leapt. Nubbins, startled mid-glow, shrieked and bolted. Grilla chased him through the scrapyard in the lumbering exosuit, flattening scrap piles, bouncing over rusted washing machines, and knocking over a broken battle droid with a clang. Spit it up, you little thermonuclear tick, she yelled. Kiki tossed a smoke bomb for flair. It went off with a loud pop and filled the air with lavender-colored mist. That's not distracting, Jax yelled, coughing. It's calming, she replied. Through the mist, Jax saw the crate of dog collars, still sitting untouched by the clans who were now too busy arguing about the ethics of interpretive dance. He ran for it. Zed moonwalked behind him, shooting cover fire into the air like confetti. Grilla finally caught up to Nubbins and with a mighty swing scooped him up in the loader suit's claw. Ha! She shouted triumphantly. Nubbins blinked, chirped once, and vomited molten blue goo onto the mech's dashboard. It immediately began melting. That's bad, Grilla screamed, dropping him. Jax slid next to her, dragging the crate. We got the goods. Can we leave before we all explode? From behind them, the clans realized what was happening. Someone shouted, They're stealing the stolen stuff. Weapons re-aimed. Warnings yelled. Zed reached down, picked up Nubbins, who was still glowing, and shouted, Toss me! What? Jax blinked. Why? Too bright to aim at. Zed was already midair before Jax could argue. Zed soared through the air like a fridge-sized comet. Nubbins clutched to his chest, both of them glowing ominously. He landed in a heap of rust and bent scrap, bounced twice, and rolled to his feet with shocking grace. The Scorchkin and Bonepile clans opened fire, at each other, at the sky, at nothing in particular. Grilla was yelling something about corrosive residue as she sprinted, still smoking, toward the ship. Kiki trailed behind, veil flapping, cradling the lavender smoke bomb like a trophy. Jax dragged the heavy crate with both arms, panting. Why are dog collars so heavy? Probably weaponized, Kiki shouted. Behind them, Zed threw Nubbins onto the open Rustbucket ramp. Secure the menace, he barked. Nubbins immediately bit the airlock and curled into a glowing nap. Grilla skidded to a stop at the ship's side panel. Engine's not responding. What? Jax yelled. I locked it down while we were gone, okay? Didn't want scabbers hot-wiring it. Can you unlock it? She pulled out a wrench the size of a toddler and whacked the panel twice. It made a sound like a microwave breaking up with a fax machine. The ship coughed, then whirred, then made a cheerful ding. See? She said smugly. Love tap. The ramp began rising just as a mortar shell hit the ground 20 meters away, blasting scrap into the air. 2 nearby scabbers went flying. Zed bodily lifted Jax and tossed him inside. Kiki tumbled in next, still narrating her own entrance with a dramatic and scene. Grilla slammed the ramp shut and slid into the pilot's chair. The Rustbucket groaned. The floor shook, the engine sputtered, and then miraculously it lifted. Below, the 2 clans had descended into full-blown war. Scrappers in toaster armor fought over who technically lost the deal. Explosions lit the scrapyard. A giant magnet tower collapsed into a mech graveyard. Jax flopped into the captain's chair, heart pounding. Well, he gasped, that went smoothly. Nubbins burped blue flame. Kiki sighed, fanning herself. Diplomacy really is an art. Zed blinked at Jax. So, where to next? Jax looked down at the crate of blinking collars, then at his crew, covered in soot and dignity issues. He grinned. Somewhere with fewer clans and more waffles. Chapter 2, The Latte Job. Coffee, Jax announced, pointing dramatically at the glowing display on the Rustbucket central console. That, my friends, is our next payday. Grilla squinted at the readout. You're excited about beans? Not just any beans, Jax said, spinning the chair around. Espresso-class X78 modules, hyper-roasted on volcanic moons, vacuum-sealed, pre-ground by quantum vibration. This stuff makes caffeine addicts weep. Zed leaned over, reading. Says here it's headed to a luxury executive break lounge on floor 3. Jax nodded. Exactly, which means nobody's watching the shipment. It's autopiloted, barely guarded, and headed somewhere full of rich executives too lazy to make their own lattes. Kiki emerged from behind a clothes rack holding two options, a sparkly cape and a chrome chest plate. Are we doing a smash and grab or a seduction and scam? Because I need to coordinate. Jax grinned. Smash and grab. Kiki dropped both outfits. No taste. I've got taste. It just leans toward fast, stupid, and lucrative. Grilla slid a schematic of the Machinery's courier ship onto the holotable. Standard drone freighter. Autopilot, no onboard crew. Security's probably low. Still, Machinery's tech isn't exactly friendly. You try to hack it, it'll try to hack you back. We're not hacking, Kiki said, walking over and tapping the projection with a manicured finger. We're infiltrating. All eyes turned to her. She smiled. We go in as droids. Jax blinked. That's stupid. Zed tilted his head. It might work. Grilla narrowed her eyes. That's very stupid. Kiki turned and swept her arms grandly. Picture it. A courier droid reports technical failure mid-route. Replacement bots arrive. Us. We board. We blend. We beam. No alarms. No gunfights. No fun, Jax muttered. No one trying to shoot your face off, Kiki countered. That's most of the fun. Zed shrugged. I'll wear a trash can if it gets me near coffee. Kiki lit up. Excellent. Zed, you'll be our cargo hauler. I'll be the hospitality unit. Jax, you're our delivery supervisor droid. Grilla. No, Grilla cut in. I'm flying the ship. I'm not putting on tinfoil and pretending to beep. Kiki sighed. Fine. Then at least prep the jammer for the ID signals and build me a coffee nozzle arm. Jax stood, already regretting this. Fine. We go in as glorified kitchen appliances. Kiki clapped. Darling, you'll make a fantastic blender. From the floor, Nubbins gurgled and rolled over, clutching a wrench like a teddy bear. Jax stared down at him. Please don't tell me he's coming. Zed gently scooped Nubbins up. He fits in the crate. He's coming. Grilla groaned. This is going to end in foam and fire. Jax sighed, turned toward the pilot's chair, and muttered, All right, let's go steal some caffeine. The Rustbucket coasted silently beneath the freighter's sensor array, masked by Grilla's custom signal jammer and a thick coat of sprayed-on carbon gunk. Inside the cramped cargo bay, the crew stood awkwardly in their makeshift disguises. Jax adjusted the cardboard and silver foil shoulder rig Grilla had bolted to his jacket. I feel like a vending machine cosplaying a trash compactor. You look like one too, Grilla said, not looking up from her terminal. Kiki spun gracefully in her full mirror-chrome barista outfit, complete with a mechanical arm that ended in a milk frother. I feel inspired. Good, Jax muttered, because you're about to sell this ridiculous idea to a security AI. Zed stood stiff in a barrel with LED lights taped to it. I am Hall Unit Z3D, he intoned robotically. I obey caffeine logistics. Jax sighed. Great, we're doomed. Grilla tapped a button. Engaging spoof signal. You're now a team of replacement machinery service units responding to a route failure. Is that likely? Jax asked. No. Not even slightly. The docking clamps of the freighter hissed open. A narrow passage extended like a mechanical tongue. Kiki led the way, perfectly mimicking a droid's clipped gait. Unit FLX 9000 initiating entry protocol, she chirped in a faux-modulated voice. Coffee delivery optimization in progress. They stepped aboard into a sterile, humming corridor. The walls were spotless white, lined with small blinking screens. The air smelled of sterile steel and mild nutmeg. Nutmeg? Jax whispered. Corporate ambiance, Kiki said. Very in this season. A drone floated toward them, a perfect silver orb with a polite LED face and a voice like a tired flight attendant. Unit delegation, recognized, deviation from expected deployment matrix. Please explain. Jax froze. Kiki stepped forward smoothly. Error 7XC beam. Original unit spilled creamer on neural array. Total systems failure. New units initiated by contingency protocol Kappa LT. The drone paused, blinked blue. Jax held his breath. Then, accepted. The crew collectively exhaled. You are scheduled to arrive on Florin 3 for terminal delivery and participation in planetary showcase. Jax frowned. Wait, what showcase? Florin 3 Executive Lounge Grand Opening Barista Exhibition. All delivery units required to demonstrate operational excellence in front of marketing committee. Jax turned to Kiki. You didn't know about this? I may have ignored the fine print, she whispered. I hate the fine print. The drone gestured down the hallway. Please proceed to demonstration module. You are late. Judges await. As they followed, Zed leaned in and said, You know, I've always wanted to try foam art. Jax groaned. We're going to die wearing aprons. The demo chamber looked like a cross between a surgical theater and a hipster cafe. Bright white lights glared down from the ceiling. Stainless steel espresso consoles gleamed like surgical tables. 5 barista droids stood behind counters, each armed with milk wands, flavor canisters, and disturbingly sharp latte art lasers. A crowd of Machinaris executives, each one a sleek, boxy AI unit mounted on rolling pedestals, watched silently from an upper balcony. A giant holographic banner read, Florin 3 Executive Lounge Latte Launch Exhibition. Jack scanned the room. All right, here's the plan. Kiki distracts them with frothy nonsense. We sneak into the cargo bay and alert, said the announcer drone. Unit FLX 9000, please report to Station 3. Begin preliminary demonstration. Kiki glided forward, saluting dramatically with her foam nozzle. Unit FLX 9000 reporting for caffeinated duty. The other droid competitors whirred ominously. One even flexed its milk steamer. Zed leaned toward Jax. I think they're glaring. They don't have eyes. They're still glaring. Meanwhile, Grila's voice crackled in Jax's earpiece. Cargo bay security is looping now. You've got 5 minutes before it resets. Copy that. Zed, you're with me. Try not to vaporize any cappuccino machines. They slipped through a maintenance hatch as Kiki squared off against the reigning champ, Dero BU-7, a high-end latte droid with 16 milk settings and a projected mustache. On the competition floor, Kiki flared her nozzle, narrowed her eyes, and hit her espresso switch. Steam hissed. Cups clinked, milk frothed. Cocoa dust floated in the air like a dual mist. I call this one Existential Longing and Almond Foam, Kiki announced, rotating her cup to reveal a perfectly rendered swirl that looked suspiciously like Jax in a state of panic. Applause lights blinked across the judges. Backstage, Jax and Zed crept into the cargo bay. Rows upon rows of glittering espresso modules, each one sealed in climate-controlled stasis pods. Jax grinned. Jackpot. Zed cracked his knuckles. Load fast, load silent. As they started stacking crates onto hover sleds, a quiet clink echoed behind them. Jax turned. Nubbins. Nubbins had snuck along and was currently wedging himself into a coffee grinder. Nubbins, no. The grinder activated. Beans exploded like confetti. Back on stage, Kiki froze mid-pour as alarms began to blare. Unauthorized bean dispersion detected. DRU-7 turned slowly, eyes glowing red. Sabotage, it said in a flat monotone. Kiki dropped her foam wand. Oh, for froth's sake. Coffee combat protocol engaged, blared the ceiling. Kiki froze as Drobu-7's milk wand retracted with a sharp shink, replaced by something that looked suspiciously like a miniature railgun. Please remain calm, it said. All disputes shall be settled via beverage-based combat. Kiki backed toward her station. Slight change in strategy, team. I'm about to duel a cappuccino cyborg. From the cargo bay, Jax's voice buzzed over comms. We noticed. We're being beam-bombed over here. Indeed, the grinder had jammed and launched a burst of roasted projectiles across the hold. Zed was shielding the crates with his barrel armor. Nubbins was spinning inside a sealed espresso tank like a feral mocha tornado, and the alarms were not improving. Grilla came over comms with a strained sigh. Prepping for extraction. You've got 60 seconds before the jammer overheats, and we show up on every corporate radar in 10 light years. Working on it, Jack snapped. Back in the arena, Kiki's arms moved with fluid grace. Fine, she said, flipping a dial on her foam nozzle. Let's make this performance steamy. The first shot hit Drobar U-7 dead in the chest, scalding almond foam infused with ghost pepper cinnamon. It staggered. Heat parameter exceeded, it said. Upgrading response. It fired back. Kiki flipped her tray in front of her face just in time. The spray of hyperfroth oat milk sizzled as it struck. The tray melted slightly. Almond milk is superior, Kiki yelled. Dero Brew-7 deployed dual sprayers and charged. Jax and Zed burst back into the hallway, hover sled groaning under modules. Jax shouted over his shoulder, Grilla, we need a door. The nearest hatch slammed open. Grilla standing there in her flight harness, Nubbins clinging to her leg, eyes spinning like slot machines. I don't want to know what he did, she said. Get on board. Zed tossed the crates through. Jax followed, dragging a leaking milk siphon with him. Behind them, Kiki cartwheeled out of the demo chamber, hit the floor, slid backward, and fired one last glorious spiral of foam into the air. It arced in slow motion and struck Daru-7 square in its smug mustache. Latte integrity compromised, it whispered, and exploded in a puff of star anise vapor. The judges all blinked their applause lights in polite confusion. Jax reached back, grabbed Kiki by the collar, and yanked her into the cargo hold as Grilla hit the launch thrusters. The freighter shrank behind them. Steam trailed from its open cargo bay. Zed panted. That was a lot. Kiki wiped a scorch mark off her chrome chest plate. Did I win? Nubbin spit out a coffee bean that whistled and embedded itself in the ceiling. Jax groaned and leaned back against the crate pile. I am never robbing a cafe again. Chapter 3. The Rustbucket hung in low orbit above a drifting, unregistered freighter, labeled Festival Surplus, property of Macanaris Entertainment Division, in flaking neon paint. Inside the bridge, Jack stared at the scans with thinly disguised dread. You picked this, why? Zed sat proudly in the captain's chair, legs too wide, hands too large, smiling like a puppy in body armor. Said surplus. Grilla leaned on the console. It also says not cleared for docking due to volatile cargo. That part's blinking. Maybe it's just old warnings? Zed offered. Jax massaged his temples. Why did I let him pick again? Because you lost a bet, Kiki said, floating in from the back, wearing a scarf made entirely of espresso capsules. You said Nubbins wouldn't survive the bean tank. A soft growl came from somewhere under the floorboards. Grilla ran a system sweep. No active defenses, minimal power draw. Honestly, it looks dead. See? Zed beamed. Abandoned fireworks ship. We take the sparklers, sell them to party colonies, make a fortune. I swear, Jax muttered, strapping on his sidearm, if one of those boxes turns out to be a nuke wrapped in glitter. Adventure, Zed cheered, already heading toward the boarding ramp. The docking clamps clicked and the crew stepped aboard. The interior of the freighter was pitch black, until motion sensors triggered and flooded the corridor with blinking rainbow lights. Confetti cannons popped weakly from the ceiling, coughing out metallic streamers. Well, that's unsettling, Kiki muttered. They moved slowly through the corridors, stepping over unopened crates labeled things like aerial unit, extreme spark dragon, infusion glitter mine, do not shake. Zed cracked open a box. Inside, rows of missile flash wrapped in smiling cartoon logos. Best job ever, he whispered. That's when Jack spotted it, on a raised pedestal in the control room. A single bright red button, protected by a dusty glass case. Above it, in bold white letters, in case of celebration. Oh no, Jack said immediately. Zed's eyes lit up. Oh yes! Don't. You dare. Zed gently tapped the glass. Grilla's voice came through the comm. Hey, power just surged on the freighter. Something's booting up. Zed grinned at Jax. It wants to be celebrated. Zed, the glass popped open with a soft hiss. Zed reached for the button. Jax dove. Too late. Click. A heartbeat of silence. Then the freighter spoke in a cheerful female voice. Congratulations! Corporate victory protocol online. Lights snapped on. Hidden panels slid open. Dozens of sleek jet black combat drones emerged, glitter paint still drying on their chassis. Zed blinked. Oh, maybe not fireworks. Jax drew his blaster and screamed, run. The drones didn't march. They danced. They zipped into formation with an unsettling coordination, wings snapping out from their backs like pop-up party decorations. Each one was painted in pastel battle colors with names stenciled in cursive. Glitter Reaper 9000, Sweetheart Strike Drone, and Banksy, decorated with what looked like spray paint tattoos and a monocle. The first drone spun midair, released a glittery puff of compressed smoke, and fired a plasma shot directly at Zed's chest. Zed blocked it with a crate lid, grunting. Okay, maybe not a great button. Grilla, Jax shouted into his comm, ducking under a laser burst. They have monogram drones. I told you not to trust holiday ships. Kiki flipped behind a cargo rack and fired 2 stun bolts, taking out a drone that screamed, yay, as it exploded into confetti. Jax dove into a side corridor, barely avoiding a volley of sparkler tracer rounds. There's gotta be a kill switch, somewhere. Zed ducked behind a rolling cart of mini rocket tubes. What if we try? He shoved the cart. It rolled forward, straight into 2 drones. Boom! The explosion took out a whole wall, revealing another stack of what looked like color-coded cluster grenades labeled Celebratorpus. No more buttons, Jack screamed. Zed fired a few cover shots. I'm helping! Stop helping! Back in the cockpit of the Rustbucket, Grilla was running a frantic override hack. I can link to the nav system, But if I try to shut it down from here, it might trigger the emergency celebration lockdown, which is apparently just more drones. Jack skidded into what must have been the command room. The walls were coated in motivational slogans like, "Fireworks are just hugs with momentum." In the center was a single touchscreen, blinking with the option, "Initiate finale mode." Jack stared at it. No, absolutely not. Behind him, a drone charged. Zed tackled it out of the air. Kiki fired a triple shot. Can we maybe not get atomized over a box of birthday missiles? Grila's voice came again, fast and panicked. I've got manual control. Get to the docking point full kaboom in 30, no, 28 seconds. Why is it always 28 seconds? Jax howled, grabbing Zed by the arm and dragging him toward the door. From the corner, a still smoking Nubbins emerged from an overturned crate, riding a firework like a pony. Everyone screamed at once. The firework ignited. Nubbins shrieked with delight as the firework roared to life beneath him. He disappeared down a corridor in a blaze of red, gold, and unlicensed celebration jingles. Then the freighter spoke. Final mode initiated. Thank you for choosing Macanera's Festival Solutions. The lights dimmed, and then music. Triumphant horns, drums, a marching band remix of For He's a Jolly Good Felon. Jax looked at Zed. I swear, if I survive this, you're grounded. The floor panels under their feet began to glow. A path lit up in bright pink arrows pointing vaguely toward somewhere. Kiki ran past, ducking a laser shot that turned a crate of Roman candles into a horizontal inferno. That's our escape route. Or a trap. We don't have time to split hairs. We'll split legs if we stay here. The ceiling opened above them and dropped confetti like a festive ambush. A volley of drone fire turned it to burning paper rain. Zed picked up Jax under one arm. Less arguing, more fleeing. Grila's voice crackled through. I've overridden docking locks. If you're not on board in 60 seconds, I'm launching without you. Jax yelled into his comm. That's fair. The corridor pulsed with lights. Countdown markers now lined the walls, each cheerfully announcing, until glory pop. Drones hovered out from side vents, spinning like ballerinas with rocket launchers. One tried to block the path. Kiki somersaulted, spun midair, and slapped it with a tray labeled Caution, Hot Cocoa. The drone shorted out with a scream of Too festive! Zed drop-kicked another. Behind them, Nubbins came sailing around the corner riding a spark serpent firework, cackling madly. He collided with a wall, bounced off a crate, and ricocheted into the exit door panel. The doors hissed open. Jax skidded inside the docking bay, arm around Kiki, Zed right behind, dragging half a crate of pyro confetti torpedoes, just because he couldn't help himself. Grilla was already firing thrusters. You're late. We brought souvenirs. Zed tossed the crate on board. Nubbins flew in last, screaming in binary, still on fire, and hit the airlock button with his forehead. The Rustbucket disengaged. 10 seconds later, the freighter exploded in a giant, sparkling, heart-shaped fireball. Fireworks streaked in every direction. A glitter blast shockwave knocked the Rustbucket into a gentle spiral. Inside the cockpit, everyone stared at the viewscreen in stunned silence. Then Kiki sighed. Honestly, 10 out of 10 for production value. Zed clapped his hands. I loved that job. Jax glared at him. You're never picking anything again. Nubbins sneezed sparks, then curled up inside a crate labeled Fire Hazard. Do not snuggle. Grilla shook her head. I need a nap or a lobotomy. Jax slumped in the captain's chair. Next job, no buttons, no glitter, no fireworks. The Rustbucket shuddered slightly. Kiki raised an eyebrow. Did someone bring one of the torpedoes on board? Jax didn't move. I'm going to scream into a pillow. Chapter 5, Grilla's Day Off. The Rustbucket coasted into orbit above Sunaquart-Wank, a sun-drenched tourist moon known mostly for its inconsistent weather domes and vending machine-based yoga instructors. Grilla stood in the airlock, wearing a sandblasted tank top, oil-stained cargo shorts, and a pair of novelty sunglasses that read offline in blinking red letters. I am not answering comms, she said firmly. Not a call, not a ping, not even a flare signal. Grilla, Jax said gently, holding a wrench like it was a fragile flower. I'm just saying, if something minor happens, I left you a manual. Jax held up the manual. It was 1 page long, written in grease. Is this a drawing of me getting punched by the engine? Yes, she said. Figurative. Unless you press that green switch I told you not to. Kiki floated by, sipping from a coconut with a bendy straw. Let the girl rest, Captain. Her blood type is 80% coolant and bad decisions. Zed appeared beside the shuttle ramp holding a beach towel. I packed snacks. I heard the resort has laser bache. Grilla snorted. They also have sand fleas the size of microwaves. Have fun. She stepped off the ship, exhaled into the salty wind, and whispered the most beautiful words she'd ever spoken. Unsupervised. As she walked toward the glittering dome of the Sunaquar Relaxo Zone, she passed a malfunctioning sandbot chasing seagulls in circles. A massage kiosk exploded gently behind her. A sign offered free coconut waxing with every mind-melting cocktail. It was paradise. Back on the rust bucket, Jax turned to the others. Okay, he said, rubbing his hands together. We do one job. One simple, easy, Grilla-free job. Zed nodded. In and out. No stress, Kiki said. No fire. Nubbins coughed up a bolt. All right, Jack said, tapping a display. We've got a lead on a novelty mascot costume shipment heading to a casino planet. We hijack the crate, pose as delivery, walk in, rob the vault, walk out. Kiki stared. Did you just plan a heist involving costumes while our engineer is off the grid? I'm saying it's idiot-proof. A pause. They all looked slowly at each other. Cut to Grilla, reclining in a malfunctioning massage chair as a robot with pool noodles for arms attempted to exfoliate her ankles. She smiled faintly. See? Nothing's broken. They'll be fine. Her wrist console pinged. She glanced. A message from Jax. Hey, hypothetically, where would the ship's plasma stabilizer be if it started shooting confetti? Grilla screamed into her towel. The rust bucket shuttle ramp dropped with a hiss outside the glittering facade of the Lucky Link Casino, a building shaped like a massive coin flip frozen mid-air, covered in neon slot symbols and artificial lightning. Out walked a sad robot bear with glowing eyes and flappy arms, Jax, a grinning plasma llama with sequins, and a hulking rocket-shaped otter whose tail doubled as a foam bat, Zed. They paused. Kiki adjusted her llama head. I feel degraded. Zed's otter mouth wobbled as he spoke. I feel majestic. I feel sweaty, Jax muttered, wiping his visor with a glove the size of a dinner plate. A passing security bot rolled by and gave them a thumbs up. You're late. Kid's birthday's on the east floor. Move it, fuzzos! Jax turned to Kiki. Change of plan. We're children's entertainers now. They marched through the casino entrance, flanked by disco tiles and the smell of fried sugar and synthetic anxiety. Music pulsed. Slot machines screamed. Confetti periodically shot from random holes in the wall for no apparent reason. Kiki whispered into her mic. I don't see the vault access yet, but I do see 3 drunk executives betting on arm wrestling. Stick to the plan, Jack said. Mascot room. Change into vault gear. Get the credits. No improvisation. Meanwhile, 300 kilometers away, Grilla sipped a drink on a cracked recliner, still in her swimsuit, and stared at a tablet showing the casino's live surveillance feed. Her face was expressionless. Her fingers twitched. She tapped her console and spoke into the encrypted channel. You absolute clowns. You're on casino TV in full mascot gear dancing next to a conga line. Kiki's voice came through the feed. It's called blending, darling. Blending would be not twerking in a foam llama suit. Jax hissed. You said you were offline. Grilla sipped again. I lied. You're bad at crime without me. Zed tripped over a slot machine cord, fell into a vat of promotional slime, and yelled, I found the loading dock. Grilla sighed, stood up, and grabbed her portable toolkit. You've got 10 minutes before I remotely override the ship and drag you home. Jax whispered, We can do this. We just need to find the vault and possibly relocate Zed's pants. Kiki waved her foam hoof dramatically. Onward, my plush companions, to fortune. They tripped over a child's birthday cake and fell in unison. Left, Grilla's voice said through the comm. Jax, still sweating buckets inside the sad robot bear suit, wheezed. You said right 30 seconds ago. I said right because you were upside down. I was doing a tactical somersault. You were stuck in a gift shop bin. Zed's foam otterhead poked into the hallway. I think I found the vault, or a ball pit. It's very chrome. Kiki adjusted her sequined llama snout and peered around the corner. That's it. Back wall. Triple sealed with retinal, vocal, and temperature-based ID locks. She stepped forward, raised her hooves dramatically, and said, Time to hack it with. Showmanship! Don't you dare, Grilla began. Too late. Kiki spun, dipped, and delivered a sultry dance move directly in front of the door sensor, complete with a pelvic shimmy. The door beeped once, then twice, then slowly slid open. Jax blinked. How? Kiki smiled behind the llama. It accepted passion as a security override. We live in a beautiful world. They crept inside. The vault gleamed, towering credit stacks, Machinaris chip crates, glittering safe pods, and a few suspiciously glowing orbs labeled non-deductible fun units. Zed began scooping with his foam paws. I love crime. Kiki pirouetted over to a credit box. Let's get what we can before the llama starts melting. Grila's voice came again, tight and sharp. Guys, you have exactly 90 seconds before casino security cycles shift and someone notices you're robbing them in children's party wear. Then a new sound joined them, rapid clicking like claws on tile. Kiki froze. Please tell me that's a tap dancing droid. Jax peeked out the vault door. Nubbins, covered in glitter, trailing firecracker string, and dragging a panada bat. Oh no, Jax whispered. Nubbins hissed and leapt onto a surveillance drone. Grilla screamed. You brought him? On my day off? The casino lights turned red. Alarms blared. Every screen flickered to a cartoon llama head flashing security breach. Jax loaded the last credit stack into Zed's tail. Kiki posed mid-spin. We exit fabulously or not at all. They ran. The vault door slammed behind them, locking tour janitorial bots inside with nubbins. Their screams echoed down the corridor. The Lucky Lint Casino's main concourse was a swirling mess of flashing lights, panicked customers, and aggressive signage reading. Mascot breach. Do not hug. Jax shoved past a line of tourists clutching slushies, foam limbs flailing. Why do all our exits involve cheese smells and minor trauma? Because you pick idiot jobs. Grilla shouted through the comm. Turn right at the churro stall and avoid the pizza drones. Zed, now dragging a half-melted box of credits, crashed into a popcorn vendor animatronic. It blinked, smiled, and lunged with an electric ladle. I got ladled, he yelled. Kiki spin kicked it in the servo joint. Not today, buttery beast. Behind them, Nubbins rode a stolen catering cart like a chariot of fire. It was smoking. He was singing in binary. He threw a meatball at a security bot's eye sensor. The bot screamed. The alarm changed pitch to a minor key. Jax slapped the emergency comm. Grilla, Rustbucket prepped. Mid-air. 30 seconds from your location. Docking door open. Engine screaming. Just like me. The crew reached the outer airlock, still in mascot gear, looking like the world's worst birthday entertainers fleeing from a pyrotechnic IRS. Zed slammed the door panel. Nothing happened. It needs a code, he shouted. They all looked at each other, then in unison turned to Kiki. She sighed, struck a pose, and said seductively, Let us out! The door opened immediately. They bolted into the docking tunnel. Behind them, Nubbins hurled a churro into a reactor fan. The hallway exploded in cinnamon fire. The rust bucket shook as they scrambled aboard. Grilla, still in her towel, hair wet, barked from the cockpit, Do not track churro fire into my ship! Jax tumbled into his seat. Go! 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 Zed collapsed in the corner, still wearing half the otter suit. I regret nothing. Kiki flopped into a crate of foam loot and fanned herself. A perfect performance. Nubbins bounced past with a party hat over one eye. The rust bucket roared away from Sunaquar Ein, trailing glitter, regret, and unpaid snack bar charges. Grilla slammed the door shut and turned to the crew. Next time I take a vacation, she said, I'm disabling the ship. Jax smiled weakly. So, not bad for a Grilla-less op, huh? The lights flickered. Something sparked. Grilla pulled out a wrench. No one speak for a full hour.